Apple just unveiled the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro, and honestly, while they're a little bit more surprising than we expected, really there's not a lot to talk about just yet, at least until we can get these devices in our hands and in the real world. But for now, we were able to take a spin with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, as a refresher, this has some really interesting new features, starting with USB-C support, as well as a new optical zoom in the camera array. I'm actually really surprised and interested in the new action button on the side of the phones that replaces the switch that allowed you to mute your phones very easily. You can still do that, but here's a more close, in-depth look at how the action button works, along with some of the other new features of the iPhone 15 Pro. So this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it's currently in a fine woven case, right? That's the replacement to leather. It's a beautiful color. It's a maroon looking color, and this is the Pro Max, so it's a bit of a bigger thing. Now, one thing we're gonna see at the side here is this new action button. We'll get into that a little bit later, but if we take a look at the face of the screen, we're seeing the 6.7-inch display with the thinner bezels than before. Now I've got an iPhone 14 Pro over here and an iPhone 15 Pro Max, so they're not exactly the same size. But for now, you can see just how thin these bezels are. So here we're looking at that new action button on the iPhone 15 Pro. This is the new settings page for the action button. By default, it just toggles between silent mode and ring mode like the Switch did before. But you can go into the settings under action button and change what pressing it does. You can press it once or you can long press to do different things, right? So you can have deeper settings inside each main option. So for example, for the camera, you can make it so that a press launches the regular photo mode, or you can choose between selfie, video, portrait, or portrait selfie. There are other options as well, like flashlight and voice memo. This is probably what I'm going to use it for the most as a reporter, as someone who always believes that I should be eavesdropping on conversations. I'm going to set it now to voice memo. I'm going to get out of settings, and I'm going to press the action button one time, hold to record. So for now, it looks like you'll have to long press really to do any of the action triggers. One press only just kind of shows you what it does and what you've set it to do. Long press will actually do the action, and when the app is running, long press will end it. Now, what's actually interesting is if you go in and you change the action button to launch something like camera, for example, and then we're going to change it over to selfie mode because that's my favorite. Now when you press it once, it'll tell you that it'll open the camera up there in Dynamic Island as well. And if you long press it, it launches the camera. And over here, pressing again now becomes the shutter trigger, which is very handy. I'll tell you now that as I am pressing the action button, it's a little bit smaller than the slider, I think, but it's popping out and it's very identifiable by touch. You won't accidentally press the volume button. You will definitely know that this is the action button, and it's obviously pretty easy to press actually. I thought it would be better if you had it like one press to become the app trigger, but I'm realizing now that that might become too easy to accidentally start an app that you don't want to start. So it's actually probably a little smarter that long press is the action trigger. Okay, so there's a few other new features. I'm very keen to check out the cameras on here, specifically the zoom. Now there are these 4 zoom options, but then there's also focal length options if you double tap on the number itself on screen. So I'm changing focal lengths between 28, 24, 35 are the 3 options. 24 appears to be 1x, 35 appears to be 1.5x, and with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you've got now a 5x optical zoom. So tapping on that should get you clearer pictures. And with this, if you want to get extremely up close, you'll also have just more hardware that helps you get closer, up to 25 times now of the combined digital and optical zoom. We're going to take this picture. You can see also on the interface that much like other smartphones that do this sort of extreme zoom, you've got a little bit of a guide here, a guide window at the top left corner on the viewfinder to tell you where in the general scene you are. So when we zoom out to 0.5, we've got this very impressive view of where we are right now outside Steve Jobs Theater. So I took these photos on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I took this at 25x. On the iPhone 14 Pro, I used 15x, which was the max I could get off my friend Michael Fisher over here from pretty much the same angle. You can see, you can get a lot closer with the iPhone 15 Pro Max than you can, and also the picture quality is just slightly different. I mean, maybe the screen brightness has a bit to do with it right now. Now, the other thing that I really thought was cool that was introduced on the iPhone 15 series is portraits. Not only can you enable sort of a bokeh depth of field effect in portrait mode. You can also do it with your regular photos now. And what happens is when you go in and edit them, and we're going to use this demo photo that Apple showed us on this iPhone here. We hit the edit button to find the editor. There's a new portrait option that allows you to toggle the f-stop number that just lets you tweak the sort of general level of focus, but you can also tap on specific parts of the picture to change focus, and then you can drag the slider at the side to toggle how intense that effect is. This is a really fun feature. I'm sure I'll actually spend a lot of time playing with it. I love to take close-ups of food and get that portrait. Now this also works in pictures that are not just taken in portrait mode, but anything really that you've shot, even live photos as well, which is nice. You won't have to sacrifice that sort of moving image for the portrait quality. So we're gonna tap done and get out of there, maybe save our effects. Lovely. So I'm personally quite excited to check out the iPhone 15 Pro Max's cameras, specifically the zoom. I think I want to go and shoot some birds, do some wildlife photography, see how that works. All right, so I'm holding the iPhone 15 Pro Max in my hand, and I remember in the past, like the iPhone Pro Max model really used to feel like bricks. I really hate it. I always felt like I could crush my skull with one of them. This one has a brushed metal finish that's quite actually pleasant to touch. A lot lighter, actually. It's not even holding another Pro Max by the side. I could even already tell it's lighter. You can really see the thinness of the bezels now that it's out of its case. Like, it still feels good. Maybe just not as hefty as before, and I think that's a welcome change. Now onto the arguably the most exciting change for me here. Ta-da! USB-C. Holy crap, I mean, this is USB-C at USB 3 speeds thanks to the A17 Pro chip inside the iPhone 15 Pro series. So again, a welcome change. You can use your MacBook charger to charge your phone. You no longer have to drag a special lightning cable, so that's nice. There's of course a lot more new stuff coming to the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro series, and for that, check out my detailed hands-on on Engadget.com. But for now, it's really intriguing. We can already pre-order these devices. The iPhone 15 Pro starts at $999, and the Pro Max starts at $1,199. That model though starts with 256 gigs of base storage, making it a better deal than last year's base model. There's a lot to look forward to, but before you spend all that money, or if you're wondering simply whether you should upgrade, make sure you stay tuned to Engadget.com for our full reviews and subscribe to the Engadget YouTube channel.